The last of the feasibility tests is scheduling feasibility. And in this video, we'll have a look at what scheduling feasibility is, the purpose of doing a scheduling feasibility test, and actually how you go about doing it. The how paragraph I'm going to do over two videos. This one's the theory, and the second one's going to be the practical, actually going online and having a look at a free, openly available piece of software that you can use on the internet to create your Gantt chart. But we'll get to that later on. Drilling down a little bit, scheduling feasibility is about timescales for each solution, and I suggest that you create two possible timescales, one for a more complex solution and one for a simpler solution to Justin's problem. Perhaps one with or one without the dashcam feature might be one idea. When we talk about scheduling feasibility, we're looking at how long the project will take to complete. The way in which you can do this is by including the stages in the system lifecycle and any training that might need to take place. And it's going to be a limited amount of training that will need to take place, but clearly Justin will need to know how to use the admin part of the app that you're giving him. Why do we do a scheduling feasibility test? To identify the likelihood of the project being completed on time. You should have already agreed the timescale with Justin, so that's something else. Another question that you'll need to ask Justin is how long does he expect this to take? Is he expecting to have this product within 6 weeks or within 6 months? And those two different sets of timings would give you an idea of budget and also give you an idea of what would be expected at the end of 6 weeks as opposed to 6 months. As with all of these tests, you need to recommend whether the schedule is going to work and whether that should be a go or a no-go. Do they pull the trigger and spend the money and pay for you to do this app? Let's drill down into the details of what you actually need to do. Phase 1, gather information on timescales. To do that, make a list of all of the different tasks that are within your methodology, and then calculate for each of those tasks how long each task and subtask will take. And you will put that information onto a Gantt chart, and I'll cover Gantt charts a bit later on. And we'll also look at 3 more concepts within project management, which are dependencies, contingencies and milestones, but I'll do those 3 in the next video. You should annotate your Gantt chart to justify your decisions. And I'm also going to ask you to do a very simple risk analysis of threat against likelihood. It's a very small task. For example, you can talk about the threat of a new operating system being released for Windows or for Mac. And that would present the possibility that some code that you've written won't work. And that is a medium likelihood, and it would carry a medium risk. It's unlikely you'd have to rewrite all your code, but some of your code might change. A low risk might be your coder becoming very ill. Carries a low risk of happening, but the threat to your project would be very high. So I'm going to ask you to do a very simple risk analysis, just covering the main threat that you can see. And that's only going to be 4 or 5 different threats there, but that's something else that you'll need to do for this project. And as ever, you have to make a recommendation, go or no go. Things to consider: the technical expertise. Do you have it in-house, or are you going to have to buy it in? How long will that take? If you're hiring new people, there'd be a process of having to interview them, and perhaps the people that you get in for interview aren't the ones that you want. And that's where an idea that I spoke about slightly earlier, which is contingency. Contingency time is time that you build in for when things don't go according to plan, for other people missing their deadlines. And you build a bit of extra time in to make sure that you're building in some extra headroom for things going slightly wrong, which they often do. Do you need to retrain people? And think about how that's going to impact your schedule. Are your project deadlines reasonable given what you're trying to achieve? Are they mandatory or are they desirable? Do you have to finish by a certain date, or has Justin said, actually I don't mind whether it's between 4 and 7 weeks, it makes no difference to me, I'd rather the thing was working properly? and you can propose some alternatives. And coming back to that, this is a key question, something that you should discuss with Justin. If the project overruns, what are the consequences? Is it going to be slight irritation on his part that he can't roll it out to his customers straight away? Or is there going to be a more serious impact for him, for his business, for you, if the project overruns? But you've also got this question about, is it better to deliver an error-prone system, something that doesn't really work properly, on time, or to take a bit of extra time and get the thing working properly? Well, the answer is get the thing working properly. But so many projects do overrun because they've been unable to foresee circumstances in advance. This in front of you is a Gantt chart, and you can see that you have the tasks on the left-hand side, and running. So the tasks run vertically up and down the page. You can see task 1, task 2, task 3, and then running from left to right, you've got time. So you're mapping the tasks over here against the time running here from beginning to end. And that's basically a Gantt chart. So looking at the next Gantt chart I've got down here, and this is one that was created by a student last year, and you can see that you've got requirement analysis, user requirements, design of the application, outlining potential solutions. All of the different parts of the methodology are listed on the left-hand side there. And then you've got June and July. He starts at the 18th of June. And then you've got the different tasks in different colours, and each task lasts a different length of time. It's a bit like an Excel spreadsheet, except we're going to use a piece of software online which makes it an awful lot easier to do. And all you're going to have to do is take the timings you've worked out and put them into this piece of software. And that will give you a visual overview of tasks against time. And it's a standard tool for these sorts of projects. That's the theory for scheduling. In the next video, we'll look at how you actually go about creating a Gantt chart.